Ladies and gentlemen, it's Hot Legs, straight from the Wine Exchange, with wine expert Kyle Meyer.
It's another episode of Hot Legs, and this time we're focusing on the wines of Spain. Namely, the wines of Rioja, one of our favorite, how many favorites is that, regions in the whole country. The Rioja wines to us have a versatility, a texture, a seamlessness that are unmatched anywhere else in the wine world. One of our favorite wineries is this particular winery, which is the, we'll call it the Compañía Vinícola del Norte de España, CVNE. But what they do is they realize that not many people in other parts of the world, like Slovenia, Japan, are going to sit there and go, Compañía Vinícola del Norte de España. So they call it Cune, C-U-N-E. Cune is the name of the producer that we're focusing on today. One of Rioja's largest and most storied producers of Rioja. They started the winery back in the late 1800s because the French at the time were enduring a scourge. It was a root louse by the name of phylloxera was ruining the famous Bordeaux vineyards. And of course, the French were still thirsty, so they needed some place to go to get fine wine. And at the time, this phylloxera, this root louse, had not found its way to the northern part of Spain. So therefore, the French went to northern Spain for their wines, talked to the Riojanos, and helped them create the wine business that they have today. The wines are done usually done in a Bordeaux style, an old, traditional Bordeaux style, because we're talking about the Bordeaux wines of 100 years ago. We're not talking about the Bordeaux wines of now. And the folks in Rioja were a little slow to change. But that's not a bad thing, because the great classic styles of Rioja are undoubtedly some of the greatest wines in the world. Now, as I said before, Cune is a pretty good-sized winery, so they have several different arms of the winery. So I thought it'd be fun today to take a look at three distinctly different bottlings from Cune that on the outside they might look the same because they share a lot in common, but it's only when you get the wines in the glass you can really see the differences and why they do what they do. So let's start. We're going to start first with the Viña Real. Now, all of these wines are going to be labeled Reserva, and they're all from the 2000 vintage. The Reserva designation means the wine has to see a minimum of 2 years in the barrel, followed by 1 year in the bottle aging before they release. Many of the classic Rioja wineries will work longer than that. So actually, the 2000s are the current release here in America. I think they just released 2001 in Spain. 2000 was a good vintage. I'm going to say good as opposed to outstanding, because it wasn't outstanding. But that helps us, because with these Reserva wines, the wine is actually softer and easier to understand at this earlier stage. We don't have to wait as long for the wine to come around, and we can drink the heck out of it now, which is what I'm going to do. Viña Real, royal vines. The name comes from the fact that many of the vineyards that go into this wine were next to a drive or a street named Real. So, not too glamorous, but there you go. Now, this one's in a burgundy-shaped bottle. That's for a reason, once again. This particular wine was grown in Rioja, the Alavesa area, Rioja Alavesa, which is the most northern part of Rioja. It's a little cooler there, and the wines tend to carry more of a Burgundian character, more elegance, more finesse. Classic dusty Tempranillo nose. Tempranillo is the grape variety they're using here. 85 to 90% in each one of these wines with accompanying grape varieties, local grape varieties, Graciano, Mazuelo, Garnacha. Depends on the year and what they feel needs to go into the final blend to produce the wine. Sweet, dusty cherry. Really already smells seamless. Very polished. You want a wine that's too easy to drink? It's great classic Rioja. The tannins are polished due to that extensive aging both in barrel and in bottle. And the wine sees a lot of oxygen, and that oxygen helps to refine the tannins and smooth them out and sweeten the wine up. Absolutely delicious. But can still age. Even though it's more in a more Burgundian style, you'll still be able to drink it 20 years from now, which is what we love. Next, the Imperial. Also, like we said before, 2000 Reserva. The Imperial is named after the Pinta Imperial, which is the imperial pint, which is an old bottle size that the Spaniards used to sell to the British. It was about a half liter, and they still carry the imperial name based on the fact when this wine was first produced in the 1920s. This comes from Rioja Alta. Rioja Alta, even though it kind of means high, in fact implies that it's a little lower than Rioja Alavesa, and the wines tend to have more base notes, tend to be a little fuller bodied, tend to be more Bordeaux-like, and thus that's why they put it in the Bordeaux bottle. And you can smell it. You get away from the red cherry, and you get more towards the black cherry side of the spectrum with the wonderful spicy, a touch of pepper, but I get more like baking spices, a little clove, and very warm, inviting wine. Like Bordeaux, there's more structure here. The wine has firmer tannins and is built more for the long haul. It's, pick your poison. Both of these are ridiculously good wines. Just matters if you're a Pinot Noir guy or a Cabernet guy. That's good. As with the previous wine, 2 years in the barrel, followed by 2 years in the bottle. They tend to use French and American oak at Cuney. They used to use all American oak in Spain, actually, in this part, in Rioja. And they recently started using more French oak as they started getting access to better barrels. Contino. This is a good story. In 1973, Cuney bought this estate, making it at the time the first only single estate Rioja produced. The tradition of Rioja was to purchase grapes from many different areas of Rioja and blend to make their wines. This was the first wine in Rioja that was made from a single estate, purchased by the Cuney concern in 1973. Also in Rioja Alavesa, like the first wine, but this is a deeper, denser wine. They use more Graciano in the vineyard, and the Graciano imparts a more intense character, darker, firmer, darker cherry berry fruit. Made kind of the same way, all French and American oak again, same aging regimen. But here you get a little more cocoa slipping in. The Graciano really makes its presence felt. Deeper, denser even than Imperial Grand Reserva, more luxurious, silkier, a little more velvety. You can see why they kept it separate. They knew really early on that this was going to be special. Creamy, rich, glossy, powerful, less overly tannic than Imperial, but with maybe even greater density. This wine kind of panders a little bit more, if you know what I mean. It's a touch more of a streetwalker wine as opposed to the other two, which are more classically styled. As with the other two of the greatest, three of the greatest wines in Rioja. So there you have it, a little Rioja 101. Thanks a lot.